chat. How are you doing? It's late for me. I am tired. But I just got up. Well, my body got me up. I was sleeping. And then now I'm awake. It's time to be awake. Here I am. So I figured I would spend the night not by myself. So I pulled out these campfire story cards that I have. They're fun. They're like tell a campfire story prompts. And it's nice and dark, and let me see if I can get it even spookier, just a little bit. These are not shuffled, but I don't think it matters. Pull a random card and see what we got. I'll have to show these off next time at my nail desk. They have a really nice design on the front. Let's see here. The most interesting person you've met in your travels. In my travels? Now that's interesting. Not in general, but along the way, I think I know who I'm the most interesting person is that comes to mind. Went to Japan in 2019, and one of our stops was in Karizawa. That's where we stayed. And there's a nice little downtown area in Karizawa that is like a business walk, you know, your regular downtown area where there's shops and things. And we happened to go on a nice evening where all of the shops were open, so there was plenty to see while we were there. And get a little closer. Hello. I remember it was like kind of a rainy day. Not that matters, but it was sort of foggy and rainy, and it was warm. It was the middle of summer, but it had a sort of fall type feeling to it walking around the downtown. And we get to this shop that's a honey shop, and me and the bear, my partner, the bear, we keep bees, so we're always on the lookout for honey. And there was a couple honey shops that we encountered, like not just in Kurizawa, but in other places. So we had been to what is the island over there in Hiroshima? It starts with an M. I'm tired. I need more coffee to wake up. But in any case, we had been to another very touristy place on the island outside of Hiroshima, and they had corporate honey selling shops. They seemed very corporate, like you can tell based on the designs and just how the shop sort of looks, and like they're trying to like the way that they want to get your attention and sell to you while you're in the shop is very corporate standards, rather than just like some guy who's selling their honey. And because we met that, because we actually stayed, we weren't doing like a work stay, but we have a friend who lives on one of the islands outside of Osaka, and keeps bees and sells honey and does the whole thing. So we went and we stayed with him for a few days and went to see his hives. Went to help him process some honey while we were there and some wax. I think we did wax processing. The wax processing was fun. It took a while. It takes a while to melt all that wax. But in any case, you know, if you're experienced with honey, you know what corporate honey sellers versus homemade honey sellers look like. And so we saw the same brands in Miyajima, I think that's right, and that we saw in Kurizawa, which makes sense too, because they're both very touristy sort of places. Except Kurizawa is like a high-end tourism, and it's like for would you say Japanese native people to go on vacation? Like, it's very famously like a vacation town for rich Japanese people. Okay, but we're getting to the most interesting person that I've met in my travel in Kurizawa was the bee man. And the bee man, I know, so the bee man he surely must still be practicing business unless he didn't make it through COVID, which isn't also a possibility based on meeting him. He was outside his shop, and we went into his shop, and it wasn't too like corporate, sterilized. It was like, they had lots of different kinds of honey. It's like a nice little boutique shop. That's a good word for it. And hold on 1 second. I just come in a little closer. We got all kinds of little things in there. One of them was propolis candy. So propolis is, you know, like baby bees stuff, and it was in honey candy little droplets. That was a weird one. They also had, what was it? Oh, we still have it. Yeah, I'm like picturing the item in my mind. It's a small container of honey that has a giant Japanese hornet in the honey. So it's just like preserved. It's almost like it's like preserved in amber. I need to get some coffee, man. I'm like feeling so slow. But the bee man. That's the whole point of the story, is the bee man. He was standing outside his shop and just like to talk to people, talk to whomever, talk to passing by tourists like us. And he really liked us. And the bear speaks Japanese, but he learned Japanese. So at the time, neither of us knew enough Japanese to really speak with the bee man. So it's funny, a freaking bear and a freaking bee man talking to each other. But this guy would not let us leave. He wanted us to stay, and he wanted to show us all about himself. He showed us pictures of himself covered in bees. That's his whole shtick. He's the bee man because he covers himself with bees. And you can do that if you like you know, stick your hand inside a hive. That's not really an appropriate way to do that. It's more like if you like have the queen, you could have the queen pheromone, or you could have the queen herself clipped onto you or in your hand or something. So like if you have the queen, if you're catching a swarm is a better way to approach it. This is probably how he's covered in bees. This part right here is where, let's say, you know, there's a swarm of bees and you live in the hills. You might know, like, maybe you have a contact that you can call to have somebody come and collect the swarm. That's what we do for our neighbors. We also have a swarm trap that we keep in the backyard. Actually, I can just look out there and check on it anytime I want, because I'm right next to my window, so I can see my chickens and my bees. But let's say you know, Kurizawa is kind of remote. That's what makes it attractive. There's skiing there. There's a mall there. There's all kinds of stuff to do in Kurizawa if you're Japanese and you have money. we didn't even really spend any money other than looking for honey. We mostly just walked around the area, which was fine. It was just a one-day stop, and we stayed in like a tiny little cabin in a town outside Kurizawa, which was pretty nice. There was a restaurant I wanted to go to that was at the cabins, but we didn't make it. Instead, because of timing, we would have had to have made a reservation with the camp. So we went to like a Lawson or whatever and got food that day instead. Because if you're gonna go to Kurizawa, you're gonna want to spend money. It's like basically what to do there. That's what to do there. There's a really big mall there with all the typical American and international. Really, it's not even American at this point. Maybe it was in the 80s, in the 90s, but now it's that American exceptionalism era is over, and you can find like Guess and, you know, H&M and any of the fashion brands you want to think of. It's all international now. I don't know what tangent this is, because the bee man, the most interesting part of the bee man was the fact that he was covered in bees, and I never got to the point where if you just like, if you're catching the swarm, let's go back to the swarms. You're catching the swarm, you're really trying to catch the queen bee, because what's happened is either your current hive is like, they birthed a new baby bee, queen bee, and now there's not enough room for two queens, you know what I mean? So she's got to go. But then that might also mean that there's like mutiny amongst the bees, and she's gonna take a whole bunch of bees with her. So it's like that they split internally. So if you're a beekeeper, you really want to like be watching the queen cells to see, are there bees that are dissatisfied with the current queen that, you know, are planning on getting a new queen getting birthed. So like you're checking to see if they're making a new queen, and you're also wanting to check the size of the colony. If it is getting too big, they might make a new queen so that they can split off. But in any case, there's a lot of reasons that bees can swarm, and if you're in a rural area, you're going to want somebody to come get them. And I'm pretty sure that's how the bee man got started, or at least is a service that he did or does in his local area. Like probably in like the 80s, you know, there's like nobody out there in the countryside. He's the only guy that's doing honey in that area. Or one, maybe he's a popular one. And he must have gotten known for like catching the bees without protective equipment on his body, like not wearing a suit, going barehanded, which is really quite risky. It's much riskier than pictures of somebody covered in bees would make it seem. Like, that really makes it seem like you could just go like pick up bees and like put them on you. It's not the case at all. Even what was it? The bear. There was a swarm in one of our trees like 2 or 3 years ago now. And he went to get it. He had to climb up a ladder to go get the swarm out of there. And as soon as he touched the hive, they attacked him, and it sent him into shock. And he had to be taken to the emergency services not for anaphylactic shock, but for adrenaline shock. Yeah, it just like he just completely passed out from it. So, collecting swarms, and he was fully geared up. Actually, he had all of his gear on. But so just like going in barehanded is a pretty risky thing, but you can get some cool pictures of yourself covered in bees and make that your entire personality for the rest of your life, like the bee man did. I think there's a woman, or a person, I should say, who, Texas Bee Works, the Texas Bee Works people. There's this woman on social media, on TikTok, who does what the bee man does, but in Texas. And she's like known for that. And she's like got videos where she's like extracting bees with no suit and just reaching in there and holding them, and they're crawling on her. She's crazy. And what they're both doing is sending a message to the general populace that it's okay to handle bees like that, but it's really not okay. You really have a big risk of definitely being stung. Like, I'm certain that she and the bee man both get stung all the time handling bees barehanded. I don't know what they're doing. And the risk is partly the you can go into anaphylactic shock. You can develop an allergy, especially like if you're handling a swarm. You are at so much more risk of getting stung by any of the bees, since there are more bees on you. It's just a statistical probability. So you can develop an allergy after one sting. But if you get stung by like 5 bees in succession, that's like 500 times the chance of developing an allergy. And it's kind of like rolling the dice. There's so many variables that can depend on whether you might have that chance or not. So I just don't think what they're doing is very safe. It's just not very safe. It's not good practice. It's not good witchery. It's not good animal husbandry. I mean, bees are just like any creature. They're really cool. They can do math. They could do basic math. And bees can remember faces. So that's why I'm always so careful around our bees and so nice to them. I don't want to be mean to them and then like get the bad bee energy, then have them come after me while I'm hanging around. I just got stung for the first time in 10 years, actually. My poor leg. Yeah, I wasn't even in the apiary at the time. I was going to feed the chickens in the chicken coop. So I don't know what set it off, other than perhaps it landed on me and then just got tangled in my clothes. And then my dogs were sniffing at my leg. And I'm like, what's going on with my leg? And I think because they were sniffing at it and like they kind of disturbed it, then I got stung. And I was in the house and it had been crawling on me. So it wasn't even my fault. As long as you're just like calm, they can tell. They can totally smell that fear. The adrenaline It's like, it's a real scent. It's a real thing. So the bee man in my travels specifically, the bee man would absolutely be he buzz. And the wildest thing about the encounter was like not the fact that we ran into somebody who's like selling himself as like, check me out, I sell honey and I also cover myself in bees. Like, that's interesting, and that's wild to stumble upon in the middle of Japan. But what was wilder is that he did not want to let us leave. Like, he wanted to just keep talking to us in Japanese because we were American. And then he started talking about Trump. I'm pretty sure he was talking about how much he loved Trump. Or maybe I shouldn't say the tea rum, because we heard him say his name, and I think he was still president at the time. Yeah, he was. And at that point, I'm like, oh my god, this man is covering himself in bees, and he like wants to adopt us because we come from the land of boy, it's really hard to find an adjective for America these days. So after a little bit of talking, the bee man, we tried to free ourselves. Like, he just would not stop talking. He would not let us go. Like, he wanted us to, like, seriously, like, if we had understood Japan now, if it was like now, we would absolutely be able to understand this man. And well, I really kind of wish I could repeat this story, and maybe he would invite us to dinner, and then we could go to the bee man's house and property and see all of his bees and like his crazy setup. See, when you encounter somebody that wild in the wild, it's so tempting to just like keep the chaos going, like see where it goes. Where is this gonna go? But in the past, it was different. It was more like, we gotta escape. This man is unstable. You gotta escape the bee man. He won't let us leave. Free us from the bee man. There's really nothing there, honestly. You gotta have money. The bee man's there. I kind of want to go back. If there wasn't like nothing to do there, I'd go back and like look for the bee man. I hope he's still hanging around, kicking it. I wonder if there's a way to look him up. He marketed himself as the bee man. Like the bee man was his title. Is. I'm pretty sure you can search him. See if we can find him. Oh, there it is. Oh no, that says Chinese man. That can't be him. It was a very old picture that he had of himself. Yeah, I don't see him. I'm looking. There's like a Chinese man instead. And this one is trying to attempt a world record by covering himself with the most amount of bees. I guess that's the thing you can do. Is there an upwards maximum of the amount of bees a person can have covering their body at any one time? Like, surely it can only be the maximum amount that there is in one hive. because again, in order to get the bees on yourself, you need to have the queen bee essentially clipped or located somewhere on you. It's the most straightforward, natural way to do it, because all the other bees will go where the queen bee goes. That's how you extract the swarm, is you clip that queen, you can put her in a new box or whatever you need to do, bucket, whatever you got, and they'll follow her. You can just scoop them in there. That's what the Texas Bee Works lady does, is she just scoops them with her hands. But, you know, you don't know what those bees are going to do. They can still sting you. It's not like they're just like suddenly docile just because they're following the queen. Don't handle bees with your bare hands. Don't do that. Don't do that. Bees? Bees? I have another story that is not about bees. So the bear, man, he's getting into real trouble. So he's getting into trouble. Like, going into trees, climbing up trees, getting attacked by bees for the... At least he's not getting attacked bees going through hives looking for honey like a bear would. He keeps the bees so that he can get the honey in like an ethical way, rather than just ripping into the hive. But yeah, he was fine. I came home that day when he went to the ER, and my neighbor, who later in this like same year, okay, you know what, we're gonna have to put a footnote on the neighbor story, because that's lady you know what I mean? One of those kinds of neighbors. So in this part of the story, she's innocent. She's innocent in this part of the story. So I came home and was walking up to the cottage, and she comes scurrying over to stop me, and she goes on to tell me that the bear got taken to the hospital. And so I'm like, great, okay. And the dogs are waiting for their food. Everything is in chaos. They're gonna have to just hang out and wait too that day. All those poor puppies, they were all hanging out, not sure what's going on. I have to go to the hospital, and this freaking bear is just like in the bed, and the doctors are all like, this bear doesn't keep an EpiPen with him. He's been getting into trouble. Blah, blah, blah. They were really chiding him. He was not innocent in this story. So now he keeps an EpiPen with him. And once again, getting into trouble. Once again, he's getting into trouble. Once again, I'm going to do errands. And I come home to the cottage. I was expecting the bear to go on the bear's bicycle ride. And I walk in, and the bear's there. And he had gone on his ride, but he crashed it right on the outskirts of town and completely scraped up the side of his body. So I was not gone for very long, like 20 minutes. I come home, and there's just like a bloody bear hanging out. I got a bandage up this bear, and he had taken one of my favorite glass pipes for herbal smoking, if you will. My favorite glass pipes. It was white. I had it for like 15 years. Well, let's see. We can actually date it. Its name was Castiel, after the guardian angel. from the classic TV show Supernatural. So however long that Castiel exists for is as long as I have it. And it was in the bear's pocket, but he landed right on it, and it got smashed to pieces, exploded into glass fiber, basically, bit his leg with the glass. Thankfully, there's no glass in it. It just like kind of, it looks like a bite. It looks like a bite, like a demon bit him. So I'm going with saying, like, I'm sad that Castiel's gone, but at least the bear had a guardian angel with him when he crashed. I would rather have 100 Castiels broken into glass powder and the bear be okay in a crash, kinda. So I'm just respecting the business of angels over here, whatever they're doing. But then, of course, there's a big asterisk or footnote where I go into the living room after I finish putting wound everything for the wounds and blah blah blah, gauze. And then I'm like, okay, now that that's all done, it's time for a little bit of shaming. Yes, he was wearing Bear's helmet. That's aside. But having a glass in your pocket is not so good. So that's probably better for a like a backpack. But I go and I show in the spot where we keep all of those supplies, I have a hiking pack, like a protective sleeve with the bear's own glass pipe in it. And I show it to him and I go, look, there's a like, this is what you should have with you, not somebody else's things. Am I right? I didn't know that was there. Of course you didn't know that was there. Of course you didn't know that was there. It's your own thing. It's your own. And it was in like this, like one of those like tactical protective sleeves. So, you know, if it had been in a pocket, it probably would have survived in the sleeve. And you know, and it's kind of funny too, because this glass piece is older than mine that he broke. So at least, I don't know, it's kind of nice to have the history. I'm just so sad. I'm like, that's my favorite. Of course that would happen. And now he's all bloody, and at least like bears are like, they can tolerate a little bit of blood, a little bit of injury. That's a good thing about a bear. I want to read some spooky stories. So I found, this music is not spooky. I found a spooky playlist. Let's get that transitioned on to. I'm pretty sure they were about to make some cool noises where they were gonna go. Sorry, I'm just gonna have to make the noises for you. Coffee obtained. Huzzah. Alright, let me get this up on the screen. How do I get this up on the screen? Give me a moment. I wanna pull up this thread of stories. Get into this It's cozy, spooky story time. I know what we need. I'm gonna start laughing every time I hear that. Ah, okay. Yeah. Ooh, okay. Get that mood nice and spooky dark. Spooky dark. Ooh. What is happening to these cats? Is this like I've heard this outside my window before when cats in the neighborhood are just like screaming in the middle of the night. And then it makes me want to go stop them. But there's nothing you can do in that situation, really. I mean, my cats don't go outside, so I don't really have to worry about. I don't really have to worry about them fighting anybody. Here we go. Okay. Brains. It's like the troll in the cave. Hmm. Okay, so this thread caught my eye. It said, "Tell me the creepiest thing a child has ever said to you." And I love these kinds of threads because they're like interesting or sort of odd like child behaviors when they say something that you can't really explain. Like it's a observable phenomenon that children can sometimes will say things that seem like they're talking about a past life. So let's see, children and past lives. There's researcher in Virginia. Here it is, the Virginia School of Medicine. What is this researcher's name? I've read about him before. He's like pioneered this division of perceptual studies. That's enticing. I would be very down to do research for this kind of phenomena. I'm looking on the page. Dr. Ian Stevenson, here he is, and started this research in the 70s. And what is that? What is happening to these cats and this music? Oh, it's like a laugh. I can't take it. I can't take it. I'm not gonna be able to take this seriously. I need to find a different one. I can't take it seriously with that cat sound. Give me a real Give me a real spooky. playlist. Halloween lo-fi. It's Halloween all year long. That's a bit better. That's a bit better. Some nice chill vibes. Heck yeah. Alright. I can get down with this. I can get down with this. Alright. What are these creepy children doing? Dr. Ian Stevenson, that's his name, at the University of Virginia. Scientific study of extraordinary experiences. Founded in 1967 by Dr. Ian Stevenson, the Division of Perceptual Studies, DOPS, at the University of Virginia is a research group devoted to the rigorous evaluation of empirical evidence for extraordinary human experiences and capacities. The primary focus is investigating the mind's relationship to the body and the possibility of consciousness surviving physical death. In general, this process involves studying phenomena that challenge mainstream scientific paradigms regarding the nature of human consciousness. That's what I'm saying. That's fascinating. So this part of the division is the children who report memories of past lives, specifically. There's also research they do on near-death experiences and altered states of consciousness. The near-death experiences, that's a pretty well-known phenomenon. That's like historically common human experience. I've read some interesting near-death experiences where like the people are like reporting that they were like in a car and on the highway and they experienced getting into an accident, but then moments later were back at the like highway exit that they were taking fine, and they hadn't gotten into an accident, and like both the people in the car in the story experienced the same thing. So it's almost like they're like dimension jumping to like a dimension or a universe that's like right next to them and stop them from getting into the accident. I'm a believer in multiple dimensions, like bubble dimension theory in quantum physics. I like that kind of science. So let's see, the children who reported memories of past lives. There's a quote here. Some young children, usually between the ages of 2 and 5, speak about memories of a previous life they have claimed to live. At the same time, they often show behaviors such as phobias or preferences that are unusual within the context of their particular family and cannot be explained by any current life events. In many cases, the child's statement corresponds accurately to the life and death of a deceased individual. Some children have birthmarks or birth defects congruent with wounds or marks on a deceased person, using postmortem reports to confirm. Older children may retain these apparent memories, but they generally seem to fade around the age of 7. That's also what I've seen, is like as the child gains personal awareness, these experiences tend to go away. So it's like a phenomenon observed in parents with young children, and that's what these studies show. And they've kind of looked at studies all over the world, including Europe and North America. That's not the world, guys. There's including Europe and North America, just in case you were concerned that they didn't include like the most. Okay. For the past 20 years, focused on cases in the United States. What a surprise. Some offer compelling evidence for past life memories. 2 thought-provoking cases. This one person named James, it has a link to them, has memories of being a World War II pilot and getting shot down. And then another kid named Ryan has memories of being a Hollywood extra and talent agent. So this is like this research that's been done for a super long time. And the stories that I saw, so what the reason that this thread caught my eye is because this is like the paranormal subreddit, which is so funny. So you really have to take these stories with a grain of salt. But that said, they immediately, I'm like, this is exactly what this research is talking about. Oh, Reggie, you're gonna have to move, buddy. The first story even is like pretty much exactly what the research is looking at. I didn't mean go away. All right, well, he decided to go away. So this story says, this is the OP here. My 2-year-old pulled my necklace out of my shirt. It's no biggie. He plays with it often. I ask him, "It's beautiful, right? I love this necklace." And he deadpan looks at me and says, "Yeah, Mima's." That's what I called my grandma, who raised me and passed away almost 5 years before my child was born. It was her necklace, and he only heard us speak about her in passing conversations, never about the necklace. Not super creepy, but these kids, man. Yeah, in that research, like, this would be a super common story in that research. My son was 7 years old and close to death himself. About 6 months before a bone marrow transplant, his dog and best friend became very ill right around the same time he did, and the vet told us the dog was not going to make it because of acute kidney failure. We had to break the news to our son. It was awful. He absolutely lost his mind in anger. "You're wrong," he said. "Elvis is not going to die. He won't die until a year after we move into the blue house." And at the time, we weren't even looking for a new home. But I'm not kidding you, that's exactly how it played out. The dog pulled me through. 6 months later, my son ended up needing a bone marrow transplant, and we ended up moving. I'll be damned if we didn't end up in that blue house. 1 year after moving in, that's when our sweet Elvis passed on. It still gives me the shivers when I think about how insistent our son was and how incredibly right he was about all of it. He's 15 now and doesn't remember any of it. You know, that's crazy. Well, it is kind of crazy that he didn't remember any of it, but this next comment, I think I read this one already. This next comment kind of helps explain why the child would not remember. So they say, "I'm not sharing something creepy exactly, but I'm adding this to your comment because I was once a kid near death in what I assume similar circumstance to your son's. I had leukemia at 5 years old. Chemo was very, very harsh, I was told. There was a point during treatment that the doctor overseeing it told my parents that if I survived that week, they could start being hopeful. I'll be real with you guys. I truly don't recall any suffering. Family did the best to make sure there wasn't a single sad face around me, and I only learned of the severity of what I had years later. Either way, those news absolutely wrecked my mom up until one night. I don't know which religion any of you follow, but my family was very Christian. My mom told me there was one night where I woke up and said, 'Don't worry,' because I could feel Jesus was looking out for me," or something along those lines. She always tells me how she felt very peaceful after that, and from then on, she knew I would survive it. Still kicking 21 years later. Well, that second half of that story is kind of funny, because that's just the shit that kids say, really. Like, maybe, if you're on chemo, you're gonna be on a lot of medicine, so you might wake up one day and be like, I felt somebody watching me. And that you very well could have felt somebody watching you, but it might also be a neurological trick, or something going on with your medicine, or if you're indoctrinating your child into Christianity, not to get too political, religious, that's what they're gonna think. They're gonna think like, oh, the big man's looking down on me. I'm feeling pretty good. Everything's all right. If that was my child, I would not feel immediately reassured about the possibility of my child not making it through a cancer diagnosis just based on the fact that they had good chemicals flowing that making them feel good at the time. But that's neither here nor there. Let's look for another spooky one. Okay, 20 years ago, my then 6-year-old daughter. Oh, Biggie Boots, you said, do you think it's possible that the parents hallucinated the encounter? Do you think it's possible it's the parents that hallucinated the encounter? Oh, like, that's a good question. Oh, the other story. So there's multiple stories here. So the one where the 7-year-old was close to death, and then the child talks about Elvis not dying, and then he's 15 years old and he doesn't remember any of it. Our memories, our brains are really, really bad at remembering exact detail. We don't have that capacity. So if the kid is 15 now and that story took place, he was 7 years old, so it's been 8 years, then the parent very likely does not remember correctly what the kid said to them. Maybe he did include that it was a blue house. Maybe he didn't. Maybe the child was like hysterical and he was saying stuff. It's not going to be now. It's going to be later. It's going to be in the future. It's going to be a year from now. It's going to be, just kind of going on like kids would do. And then that doesn't, if he gets the timing right, like, good for you. That's good prophecy. But it doesn't necessarily mean that he was prophetic in that moment. So it's possible that the parents were just getting emotionally, because in this story they realized that their son was correct. Let's say that way, that what they had said came true only after the fact. So like in hindsight, they're applying what they want to believe from what their kids said. So it's almost impossible for us to know what the child actually said or what the real circumstances were in the story. And yeah, stress can also affect memory. I imagine your child almost dying is a very stressful time. Exceedingly so. Yeah, exceedingly so. That's a very good point. All right, let's move on to this next one. So 20 years ago, my then 6-year-old daughter and I moved into a new apartment. She was getting her bath ready and told her to undress, and she said she's not getting undressed in front of that boy. She said, "Don't you see him? He looks like a mummy. All I can see are his eyes." And she did not take a bath that night. Went asking the neighbors about who lived in the apartment before us, and they said a Red Cross put up a family who lost their home to a horrible fire. They only lived there a few months. They had a 9-year-old boy who was burned over 65% of his body and succumbed to his injuries not long after he was released from the hospital. They said he wasn't allowed outside and he was wrapped head to toe in bandages. You could only see his eyes. Ooh, now that's spooky one. That's pretty spooky. That's very specific. That's almost too specific to be believable. That poor boy. That poor boy. Like, if that actually happened, that's so sad. Some of these stories have like such a sad. So far they've been sad, talking about chemotherapy and of course sick children. But I don't know how I would react to my child talking about saying something like that and then getting verifiable information from the neighbors. Ooh, that would really throw me for a loop. And then then I would definitely put me on edge in my house. I would be kind of like paranoid, like, are they hanging out? Like, do I need to like put out some incense for them? I'm pretty sure I have a quote unquote ghost in my house. I'm gonna do some air quotes here. He even has a name. I'm gonna take a sip of coffee, 1 sec. I'm not gonna tell you his name though, because then that'll probably dox me. But yeah, I get like his old mail. I think it's the guy who built this house, this cottage. I didn't build my cottage. I moved into a pre-built cottage, like a true millennial. But this guy, I think he was a boomer, and he built this house by hand. It's very noticeable. So I like every once in a while I get some really old mail, like charity somethings or others. And I've named a couple plants. I've named one plant after him. And early on when I moved into the cottage, I had people stay. And one time I had a friend say that she heard knocking on her door in the middle of the night, like somebody was knocking on the door to check on her. I think she was hearing the wood stove, because the wood stove is right outside the wall to that room. And sometimes when the temperature fluctuates, the metal will like expand and contract and make like a I guess a knocking sound. But I don't want to dismiss her experience. Like, what if, because she was insistent that it was on the door, like that it was knocking on the door. It wasn't the sound of the wood stove. And I don't want to dismiss that experience. I've had a couple experiences, not where I've heard any noises, but where I've felt, where I've felt a presence. And I don't know if that's just me being sensitive or imagining it. It's never a bad presence. It's usually just like a sort of fatherly, sort of nice, like somebody walking down the hall, or that's mainly it. That's all I've really experienced. For the most part, it doesn't seem like it comes into the bedroom to bother me or the bear. And I try very hard to be respectful, like knowing that that person built this cottage, like literally by hand. And, I want to take care of it and do my best to make them happy. And so that kind of gives me peace, knowing that, like, as long as I'm respectful to them, I probably won't have any problems with them. But a 9-year-old boy in your house? That's I don't know how I would feel about that, especially with the circumstances. Yeah, that poor kid, that poor family. Give me the creepy ones. Give me the ones that won't make me sad. All right, crazy raven lady, girl, you better live up to this story. When I was a kid, I had a favorite stuffed animal, a raccoon called Ricky. That's so wild. I had a raccoon stuffed animal. It was a puppet. What was his name? Why can't I remember his name? Man, my parents hated that thing because I would just carry it around the house on my hand, just constantly talking, constantly. It's their fault. It's their fault. They put me into a puppet troupe as a child, so I was a puppeteer at age like 5. So it's really their fault that I was inventing puppet friends. I don't know if his name was Ricky. That would be so wild. I don't think my raccoon's name was Ricky. Her parents used to tease me by saying, Ricky's talking, and then they'd hold him up to their ear and say, what's that, Ricky? You want to fly? And then they'd throw him across the room. It was a way they'd playfully tease me. Fast forward to when my daughter was 2, I had a bunch of boxes that I pulled out of storage to go through and decided what to keep. Ricky was in one of the boxes. I handed him to my daughter and said, this is Ricky. He was my favorite plushie when I was little. And she said, wait, he's saying something. And then she held him up to her ear and she said, he wants to fly. Oh my God, I'm actually getting shivers. That is so wild. That is so wild. That's not like past lives talking. That's like an inanimate object having sentience. Ooh, that's creepy. I'm pulling my blankie closer. Oh, you had a monkey puppet and your parents also hated it? Yeah, you give too much attention to a puppet and parents get jealous. I'm pretty sure that's what that's about. Get this a little bigger. No pics attached. How could the child know? That's so funny. Where was our place? Aha. You've got to have had a grandma or grandpa who is whispering to your kid's ear and just remember you playing, because otherwise that's wild. Now I'm going to be like trying to remember what the name of my raccoon puppet was. I don't know if my parents would remember the name. They would probably just remember their annoyance of this character that I invented that was constantly in the house. I'm sure I said plenty of really creepy stuff with that puppet attached to my hand. It must have been a good solid like couple of months where that was going on. I don't know how long that happened for. I wish I still had him. I don't know where he is. I would totally like give him a place of honor amongst all my stuffies if I knew where he was. All right. When my oldest nephew was about 5, my mom and I were visiting and gossiping with his mom. Well, about an hour in, he's playing with his toys and starts whispering like he's talking to somebody. We attempted to ignore it, but after a minute, my mom decided to ask him what's going on. He tells us that he's talking to his friend, Ernest. I look at his mom and she's like, oh yeah, he does that a lot. Keep in mind that this isn't the first time my nephew has done something like this. Anywho, about an hour later, his mom is cooking and we're keeping him entertained in the kitchen. My mama goes to move the chair next to her, and suddenly my nephew is screaming, no! He tells us that Ernest doesn't like people messing with the seat. My mom shrugs it off and puts the seat back up. The paper towel that was on the other side of the dinner table suddenly goes up in the air. And there's no wind or fan in the kitchen. The AC and heat wasn't on. It just slowly floated down. My mom refused to go back in that house. Thankfully, they moved shortly after. So the implication is there's like a ghost named Ernest in the house that's like moving stuff around. So now we've got a new theory about children's ability to perceive non-reality manifesting entities. Maybe that child just like blew the napkin. But if it was on the other side of the table, what do you mean it goes up in the air? Like it just went. That is wild. That would be kind of wild. That would be kind of wild. Physics can be wild too. Like, physics can do some things that will make you think that you're being haunted. Not too long ago, there was a story similar to this. Turns out someone was living in the walls. Oh, that's nightmare inducing. Like, ghosts are one thing. Like, ghosts are non-material entities. They can't actually really do anything to you. But somebody living in the walls can. Let me scooch. So I can get this chat box working better. Yeah, people in the walls absolutely can. I watched a movie. I think there's a couple movies. What is there? The Boy. That's a movie about somebody in the walls. Spoiler alert. It's not a good movie, so it's not a bad spoiler. It's like a D level movie. And then what is it? The People Under the Stairs. That one's from the 80s, I think. Yeah, but people do that. I've seen plenty of stories about squatters, like, in the attic. And, like, the stories are like, things keep moving around my house, or I'm hearing weird noises. Very similar to haunting stories, because essentially you're being haunted by a living person. And that's very very scary. I don't know what I would do. Coffee. Excuse me. From somebody living in your house, how do you recover from that? Yeah, so paranoid. Exactly. Like, even if they weren't in the house anymore, could you still feel safe living there? Like, I mean, maybe if you own the house, then you could just, like, install, like, crazy security system, cameras everywhere. Because if you have somebody squatting in your house, it might not matter where you're living ultimately, because it's more or less your own, like, a home security management. Is that what I'm trying to say? Like, I mean, all homeowners are responsible to manage their property and protect their property, and make sure there aren't people living in your attic or your walls. I guess that's on the assumption that you would be able to tell, like, if they're getting in there and hiding themselves good enough that you're not really able to tell, and you're only just sort of noticing things. Like, human nature is, we're gonna react like we're gonna be confused, unsure, paranoid. We're gonna think that we're being haunted. Like, we're gonna, like, go to the paranormal thought, and it's not a common thought to think somebody's actually living in my walls. So yeah, I can't imagine I would be able to live in the same house. But I think truly, no matter where you live, after that point, you're going to be paranoid about your home security, like people getting in when you're out, or, while you're sleeping. Oh, that's the worst thought. That's the worst thought. That's the worst thought. That's the worst thought. That's a scary one. Hopefully Ernest was just like a silly little guy, just a silly little imaginary a silly little imaginary friend. Yeah, like Drop Dead Fred. Maybe just like an annoying Beetlejuice type. That may not be the best end, because that's kind of like you're getting into poltergeist territory with, like, Beetlejuice and Drop Dead Fred, these imaginary pranksters that come from, like, the, like, Loki's dimension. They're just there to cause trouble. Yeah. Poltergeists that's a tricky situation, folks. I would advise all people not to build their homes on any type of burial ground, because that's the problem that the movie Poltergeist had. Spoiler alert. I'm sorry, I'm just doing all the spoilers today. If you haven't seen Poltergeist, I would really recommend it. It's a really good movie. It's a classic horror movie, but it's also been at least 35 years since it's come out. And that's the problem that they had. And you know what's crazy too is that production was so cursed. Like, the cast members were legitimately like, so I think did the little girl die after that one? Like, some people died after the movie, and later it comes out that the production was using real skeletons in the scene where all of the skeletons from the burial ground come us up. So it's kind of like, you deserve any negative karma coming your way if in your you're like meta cursing your production. The story is about being cursed by a burial ground, so you better make it real by having a real burial ground. Come on now, come on, use some sense. Poltergeist movie curse. I'm sure that will bring up something. The SEO on that's probably like, yeah, refers to a series. Why am I reading this AI? The Poltergeist cursed. Inside the mysterious cast deaths. Ooh. I just wanted to know like what happened. Multiple actors died? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Don't dig up graves. That's another one. Oh yeah, the original Wizard of Oz. Talk about curses. Asbestos is like a generational curse, and that stuff's not banned anymore. So that's not good news. Regulations exist for a reason. And asbestos does not make good snow. Okay, Reddit, what else you got? I don't have children, but my nephew, when he was very young, maybe 2 or 3, talked about the boy who came up from the floor in his bedroom. Weird stuff happened in that room a lot. My mom was over there once when no one else was home, and she said every electric toy in that room turned on at the same time. It was like a sunburst? That's wild. Can you imagine getting hit with like a sunburst and like all of your electronics like either go off or die? I think it's like one or the other, right? Polarity. It's either going to turn off or it's going to turn on. She went in the room and said, "You need to stop!" And they did. Good moves, Mom. A very weird coincidence was that years earlier, I had lived in the same apartment, and that same room was my crafting room. My brand new sewing machine was constantly on the fritz, and I had no idea why. Also, my downstairs neighbor would complain that it was making too much noise in the middle of the day. So calm down, lady. So could I please stop stomping around when I was literally just sitting quietly? Classic neighbors, classic apartment neighbors complaining about anything, inventing noises. When I asked my nephew about the boy many years later, he told me the boy was always wanting to play with him, but didn't want to play with the boy because he was too creepy. That apartment was haunted AF. So there's 2 scary things in this story. There's a little boy that the nephew was seeing, which is like, you know, children see. I had an imaginary friend. I don't know if you had imaginary friends, but that's another common phenomenon, imaginary friends. That's what Drop Dead Fred is technically he's an imaginary friend. Fred? Imaginary Fred? And you said you did your thesis on solar flares. Whoa! Yeah! I just read about a crazy one that hit, I don't know, somewhere. This is like, I'm only half remembering the details. But this was like yesterday I read one where in like 1898 or 80 something, there was a solar flare. Okay, I should have the details, so I'm not just talking about nonsense. That's the problem with the internet, is like half of your intelligence is stored online now. You have to, like, what was I thinking about again? And I've got onions on my belt. It was the style at the time. That's how good my memory's doing. 59? Was that what it was? 1859? The Carrington event. It created a strong auroral display that was reported globally and caused sparking and even fires in telegraph stations. The geomagnetic storm was most likely the result of a coronal mass ejection from the sun colliding with Earth's magnetosphere. Yeah, they can cause some really cool things, really crazy stuff. I'm sure there's like many other events that have happened, like some really old ones that can be proven by boring into trees and showing like what the tree rings experienced. Because I think there was another one I'm thinking of that like caused like was it a blackout? Really old one. I love those kinds of natural events that just cause mayhem. Just like Halley's Comet being observable in history. It's kind of cool to see like the volcano events that you're reading about that covered the sky with ash for like a year, and they're like, oh yeah, this year everything was dark, we don't know why. And now we're like, oh, hey, yeah, we know why. Science. I think this apartment must have had issues with their electricity. Is what I'm guessing. It's very possible that the landlord was skimping out on some repairs that might have needed to be taken care of. And I mean, I don't have an answer why all the electronics would turn on at the same time, but I also was not in the room when it happened. Maybe only the computers turned off, like there was a power surge or something. Let's see, what's this one say? I used to babysit for a pretty well-off family. They had 3 children. The oldest was 4, the middle was 2, and the youngest was still an infant at the time. All 3 kids had separate bedrooms on the top floor of the house. The way that it was set up, they had a living area beneath a walkway. The walkway had one child's room at one end, and the other 2 children had rooms on the other end, which were connected by a bathroom. Oh, that's sick. Pretty well-off family. I would typically do the evening, nighttime babysitting, and the parents would come back pretty late. On this particular evening, I had put the kids to bed already, not put the beds to kids. Put the kids to bed already. The youngest went down right at 7 o'clock, and then the middle one and the oldest at 8:30. We read 3 stories, and then I went to each room once they had laid down to do lullabies and rub backs until they were asleep. Both kids slept with their doors open. It was wintertime, so it was dark outside already. I mean, pitch black. The house had enormous windows and skylights and was completely surrounded by trees, so it was either serene or a little spooky in the dark, depending on how you look at it. Once they were asleep, I returned to the living room, which was below the walkway. I sat on the couch on my phone, probably for an hour and a half, And then the oldest just starts screaming. I mean, at the top of his lungs. He had never done something like that before. They usually all slept pretty peacefully through the night. When I ran up the stairs, I was thinking something could have happened. But when I got there, he bolted upright in bed, pointing at a wooden rocking chair in the corner, just yelling and crying hysterically, saying over and over, "I don't like that, I don't like that, I don't like that." Mind you, it's just about pitch black, minus the minimal light from the hallway. Obviously, I was like, I don't like that either, so I ended up letting him sleep on the couch downstairs next to me. I'm picking up what they're putting down. I diagnosed this child with night terrors and possibly sleep paralysis. I totally imagine if I had a rocking chair in the corner of my room, that would be the creepiest shit. That would be like, if you have sleep paralysis, you are 100% going to be seeing something over there in that corner. It's just like how our minds work. Like we're gonna be putting shadows onto that chair, and you wake up with a night terror. I've had many night terrors. You basically wake up screaming. And you can have both. You can have sleep paralysis and night terrors. I mean, it's probably not like usual. But yeah, sleep paralysis is like where we get the classic concept of like shadow demons. In like classical Renaissance paintings, there are some paintings that portray what like sleep paralysis demon sort of looks like, and the concept is like having having something on you, like sitting on you in your sleep. I had a crazy experience once where I had sleep paralysis. I was on a friend's couch just like having a nap, and I felt a finger go down my back, like run its finger down my back through the couch. Like I felt it. I felt what felt like somebody going like that. And that was so creepy. It's so creepy even to think about it. I mean, Reddit's like flashing me because it's like trying to scare me. Yeah, the worst part is you want to scream and nothing comes out. Absolutely. You're like, that's the paralysis part, is where you're just like stuck. You're stuck and you can't move. Recently, I've had like half sleep paralysis where I'm asleep but I can't wake up. And so thankfully it doesn't have the scary part of it attached to it, but it is uncomfortable because I can be stuck asleep for like, the last time, it was just the other day, it was like I was stuck asleep for like 3 hours. I could not wake up. I could not get myself to wake up. I could only experience being half awake and asleep, and that's annoying. Being locked in your body, basically. Because I think, oh my gosh, I just read this. I'm gonna keep saying that. I just read this the other day. It's like neurologically, what happens is when you get into deep REM sleep, your mind has a trigger it can pull to lock your body and stop you from moving. Because when you're deep in sleep, your body wants to act out your dreams. Basically, like if you're like on a bicycle or you're walking around or you're doing whatever in your dream, your body's going to want to try to like act that out. Like that's what sleepwalkers do, is that they don't have that trigger that stops them from doing whatever their mind is doing, and so they'll just get up and walk around. But normally your body can flip that switch when you go into deep REM sleep, when you're dreaming, and the sleep paralysis comes in obviously when you're like the flip is still on. So your mind still thinks that you're in REM sleep, but your body has started to wake up. And So you have like, it's almost like being split brained. Like you have half of your mind that's still asleep and half of your mind is awake. And the awake part is like, what the hell? Why can't I move? What's happening? And then you'll start to hallucinate the shadow people, and then they'll be like sitting on you and stuff. Not the shadow people. Let's see if I can pull up that old painting. Sleep paralysis demon. Yeah, this one here. Oh, it's on the Wikipedia. Of course it is. It's just a little guy. He's just a little guy. Henry Fuseli. This is older than Renaissance, I think. 1741. This was painted 1781. So this is closer to classical. It says the nightmare. I'm looking at this horse face. Well, now I'm like want to go on a art history dive on what era this is. My art history skills are rusty. And I gotta resist the ADHD urge to go down any kind of tangent I'm thinking of. Let's think about this next one. This 3-year-old little girl I used to nanny was always a very quiet, weird kid. Oh, that's a nice thing to say about a 3-year-old. Yeah, this 3-year-old was always just like this weird little creepy kid. She's 3. Come on. At 3, she could talk, but she was just super quiet and never liked to play or be noisy or move a lot. She just kind of sat around a lot of the time. Oh, neoclassicism. Thank you for looking that up. I was like, neoclassicism is I'm like, it's not classical. Of course it would be a neoclassical. Okay, anyway, this creepy 3-year-old child, I feel really bad about this story already. She just was kind of a weird, listless little girl. She had no developmental issues, but just kind of sat quietly. I'm sorry, are you a child psychologist? Do you get to make that call? It's very difficult to diagnose children 3 years and under with developmental issues and neurological conditions. But you're just a nanny. Like, you can't just say like, oh, this child had no developmental issues, but she was really weird and she displayed all of the typical signs of developmental issues. Her main weird thing was she was deathly afraid of water. And that's not good. That is absolutely a symptom of something. Well, first of all, it's a symptom of rabies, but we all know she doesn't have rabies. It's not a 3-year-old child with rabies, but that is a symptom of rabies. One evening, I was putting her down to bed and reading her a book, and mid-sentence, she interrupted me and said, "The witch is in the kitchen. She's the Black Witch." I'm sorry. I didn't know I was gonna get called out in this story. Can't a witch just like flit around the void a little bit and not get called out by freaking weird 3-year-old little kids? I was just like, okay. So I asked her mom about it, and her mom said basically, yeah, she's been seeing a black woman in the kitchen since she was born. She moved to a new apartment and grew a little. Now she's not so weird and talks a lot more. And I asked her about the witch like a year later, and she said the mean witch only lives in her old apartment. Just weird. To this day, she's still afraid of water. Well, they should probably get that child to a psychologist. Being afraid of water is an unordinary condition. I don't appreciate being called out in this story. Probably will delete because a lot of people will know this story and have seen videos of this, but whatever. So when my daughter was 3, she opened up a Christmas gift, which happened to be a stuffed snowman. So when she got this stuffed snowman, the cutest little beanie with sparkling eyes, she immediately started screaming her lungs out. I mean, screaming and crying. She didn't touch that thing. Anytime she sees the snowman after that, she would burst into tears and have complete meltdowns. Drawings, cartoons, stickers, any kind of snowman. I eventually asked her why when she was a little older and able to articulate her strange fear, and she told me, "When I was mommy, you were baby, we were building snowmen, you slipped and fell and cracked your head like egg, and there was blood and you died." Ooh. See, now that is a really good example of that study, that Virginia University study. It's like children making up these stories. I've read multiple kinds of stories along these lines where they're like, yeah, I was doing this thing and then I died and now I'm here, and then they never remember it again. And I mean, it's entirely possible they're just like in the moment just thinking up a story, but it's almost like it's not them. Like when what they're saying is just coming out of like a random, like they're inventing these stories, and it's very unusual for the child to say these things. At least that's how the stories are proposed when I've read them before. It's stories such as these that make me question if there really is some kind of reincarnation between lives. Yeah, those are the stories I really like because I'm curious about that. I envision that life, like a lifeline, a person's lifeline, or your energy, or however you want to propose it, is like a flare of electricity that doesn't necessarily die, but the electricity returns to the mass of electricity that's running the universe, essentially, and then that flicker or that flare or your line of energy, maybe it can jump between vessels, or maybe it can find a new vessel and be reborn, or maybe it fades out. Like maybe your energy just needs to go to sleep for a while before it comes back, and maybe you won't come back for a very long time, on a universal time scale. Like maybe your energy goes to sleep or returns to the mass for forever, maybe. I mean, that's what's interesting about life, is like whether we are a continuation of another life in the past or reincarnation or whatever we are, this life is unique to us. So what matters is what we do in our current state, A little bit of positivity, I guess, but I do kind of follow the idea of past lives. I have my own ghost story. Ooh, I'm interested. So I'm from the UK, and I grew up in a big Georgian-era mansion that had been split up into apartments, but half the house was derelict. So anyway, one day, me and my sister are exploring the derelict part, and we find an old man who seemed startled by us. Okay, that's part one. Old men, they can instantly make a story more creepy. I don't know how they do it, but old men can be so creepy, man. All right, I'm gonna give you a moment to finish your story and scroll down. Might need to find a new thread. We're starting to get to the dregs of the story. The Gregs of the story. We're getting to the Gregs of the story. Okay, I have one that really traumatized me. My dad's cousin brought over her toddler, and I was hanging out with her while my parents were with her mom. Anyway, we were in my bedroom, and she's playing with some toy cars, and she says, I want to bring these to play with my friend. I thought you know for sure. So we go up to my parents' bedroom to watch TV. I put her down to turn on the light, and she goes, where did the boy go? So I asked her, what boy? And she answered, the one that was standing over there. He went away when you turned on the light. As scared as I was, we ended up hanging it out in that room for like 2 hours. Yeah, it's hard to be like too scared when nothing too spooky has happened to you, even if you're hearing a story about a spooky ghost in the house. That would be unsettling. The small children ghosts are unsettling. I'm sorry to any small child, but you're not a fully developed person, as we know ourselves. So, like, I don't know what little children ghosts get up to in their free time. Kind of too creepy business for me. All right. Anyway, turns out we accidentally broke into the neighbor's house, but we didn't know we have a neighbor. So for years, we thought it was a ghost. Uh-oh. That's pretty good. Neighbor is too much of a shut-in, so they just, it's like, you were seeing an incantation. That's very funny. Did they react okay? Where was the old man, like, he wasn't like, what are you doing? What the fuck are you doing here? I'm sure he was probably like, I'm a material person. You guys gotta go. I walked into my daughter's bedroom and she followed me and stopped in her tracks. I asked her what was wrong and she goes, that wasn't Dad? When I asked her what she meant, she said a man that looked like her dad was sitting on her bed, so she only saw him from behind. And I asked her where he went and she replied, he was looking out the window and then he went into the floor. Ooh. Weird. Oh, you left before he could react. Yeah, he was probably like, what the hell? I'm so confused. I kind of think these experiences. Oh, your dad told you off, but you thought it was for exploring the derelict park, not for breaking and entering. Yeah, you're just doing some urban exploration. And you mean urban in the literal sense, as in you're like going house to house. So for these stories where they're like talking about where there's like seeing somebody or somebody disappears, that's like the classic descriptive of a ghost. And that's what people describe. And I have my own thoughts on ghosts. I kind of feel like like I mentioned, I believe in like dimensional theorem, and I sort of think that like reality is not a concrete thing. Reality, as observable as it is, it exists in multiple states at once. So our reality is constantly changing as anything is happening, as any person is taking an action and doing things. And I sort of feel like maybe ghosts are echoes of the realities that wrap around us in the like the bubble dimension theory. So, if there's infinite possibilities that are constantly branching out from everything that's happening, then all of that potential energy, potential dimensionality is wrapped around us, and we're experiencing echoes of other possibilities of the energy of what could have been or may potentially be in another reality, in another existence. So like maybe they are seeing somebody, but it's just the barest flash of just like an artifact of the universe, essentially, of the progress of time. Like if you say that something, I mean, I can't prove that things are happening in other dimensions. I don't know how that works, because I don't think anybody does. Quantum theory is relatively new science in general. Like we've only just been able to discover the God particle with the Hadron Collider. I'm spinning my finger. The Hadron Collider go around spinnies. But yeah, like maybe in however it works, like maybe these possibilities, whether they exist or don't exist, I mean, that's how quantum reality works in general, is they exist in both states. But like maybe we're experiencing the side effects of all of these possibilities moving around us, and then things like the glitch, like in the Matrix, you know, we're just like seeing like her dad, maybe he was sitting on a bed in another reality, for example, and she just like saw the flicker of that, and so that, you know, we would have to interpret that into human terms, which would be like, you know, you saw a ghost, or you don't know what you saw. The way you found out is you have a neighbor. Oh, years later. So you still thought it was a ghost? Like you